this is a game today where, there's not a whole lot to say in that locker room other than in these situations, we got to be able to show what type of resolve we have to bounce back from something like this. I thought that, I don't know all the stats, all the numbers in the three phases, but I just felt like we knew defensively there was going to be times that they got chunks on us with their offense, but we were going to, bend and not break. I thought our defense, for the most part, did that. Obviously, stating the obvious, the offense, we got to get stuff figured out. It's not good enough, and to be outscored by your defense obviously is unacceptable too. So that part's frustrating. The special teams in some areas I thought was really good. In other areas I didn't think was very good. But this is a part of the NFL. This is a part of the league. And then how are we going to respond? What are we going to do? So that's our next challenge.
JJ, go ahead.
Hey, Matt, on the ESPN broadcast, Brian Greasy relayed a conversation he had with Nick Foles, where Nick apparently told him, this is a quote from the broadcast, "Sometimes play calls come in and I know I don't have time to execute that play call." Has he communicated that to you? And did you feel like he had enough time today to execute the play calls you called?
We've never had that conversation, but explain to me what that comment meant, what it was that he said.
His exact comment was, quote, "Sometimes play calls come in." This is just what Brian Greasy said on the broadcast. I don't know if Nick said this, but this is what he said. Nick relayed to him. "Sometimes play calls come in and I don't know that I have the time to execute that play call, and I'm the one out here getting hit. Sometimes the guy calling the plays, Matt Nagy, he doesn't know how much time there is back there. And so that's something they have to work out." That's just what was said on the broadcast.
Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to, whenever you talk to Nick, just kind of see where he's at with that. That's not, Nick and I have a pretty good relationship, and he hasn't said, he'll probably explain what he meant by that.
Did you feel like today, though, that the play calls you were getting in, Nick did have enough time to execute them?
I don't know. I got to watch the tape and see. I know there's a couple here or there where, you're in scat protection certain times and they might make you hot here or there, but I have no idea. I have to go back and see it exactly what the deal is. I know as far as the play, if you're saying the play's getting in to be able to call the play, there's no issue there. I don't know what the next part was.
Jeff Dickerson.
Hey, Matt, is there a core issue on offense that you would like to have addressed first and foremost? Is there one major issue that if you work on that, then maybe the consistency you're looking for will start to come?
Yeah, Jeff, this is hard. I've never been a part of this before. So it's a situation where it's for all of us very frustrating, trying to figure out answers. And, the hard part is when you care so much and you're trying so hard to figure out, that identity and where we're at, and the why part, that's the part that stings. It's like just trying to get that thing right. And it hasn't happened. So we have to look at across the board. We have to look at everything. And we've been doing that, and you get out here and, to start, we got to start fast. And when you come out and all of a sudden you get a penalty, it just kills the drive, and penalties hurt. You cannot have penalties early on in the game. And then when you have situational football, you can't have penalties in 4th and 1 to get a first down and move the sticks. As hard as we're making on ourselves right now, you can't have penalties. And just that's the part there that for all of us to figure out, okay, man, when is this going to stop?
Pat Finley.
Matt, traditionally, your teams don't get blown out very often. Did you feel this coming? Did you have a sense that this would happen?
No, I didn't. I really didn't. I thought our guys had great energy. And again, so it's very similar. It's 10-3 at halftime, not scoring many points. They're not scoring many points. You come out and all of a sudden you get the ball on the 1 yard line to start the third quarter. And it's run to get some breathing room. It's another run to get breathing room. And then all of a sudden you have them beat on a double move And we don't get it. And that's no criticism to any player. You know, Nick had a guy coming off to his left free. And you saw it was close, but it wasn't close. And so that was just kind of one of those nights where it just wasn't our night. So we gotta figure out how each and every one of us are going to step our game up to be better.
Dan Wiederer.
Matt, I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more when you said you've never been a part of something like this before. And then in addition, the 4th and 1 to Cordero, what gives you confidence in that play on a pitch play to the short side?
Yeah. Well, I have no idea, but I don't ever remember having our own defense score more than our offense. That's hard to do. So that part I don't like, and that bothers me. The second part is sometimes what happens, Dan, is we scheme plays and we have things and certain looks that we like. And then there's the execution part. I got to go back and actually see the execution part. I know that our whole entire coaching staff and our players coming out of that break felt really good about that play. We all did. There's nothing where anyone was like, maybe we shouldn't do that. No, we felt good. So they made a play. And one thing that I want to do, and I didn't do on the front end, is I don't want to take I want to give credit to the Rams and to Sean McVay and his coaching staff and their team. You know, you got to give credit to them. They're well coached. They play hard. They're a good football team. And so I don't want to take anything away from that as well. I wish we were coaching and playing a little bit better than we did tonight.
Kevin Fishbane.
Man, I think in all 4 of Nick's starts, you guys have failed to hit 70 rushing yards. The run game, I know we bring it up a lot, but where are you at with it right now, just based on what you've seen over the past few weeks?
Yeah, it's where am I at with it? It's not where I want to be, you know? I mean, you got to run the ball in this league, and you got to be able to run the ball. And we're trying to figure out ways to do it. And right now we gotta be better there. Starts with me.
Jason Leisure.
Matt, with your offensive line, I mean, you've tried what you can, it seems like at this point. I mean, the guys that are on the bench are on the bench because these other guys beat them out. What else can you do to try to fix your offensive line?
We just got to keep there. It's hard when you're in this scenario right now. What happens is just like you said, you start thinking, okay, is it this guy? Is it that guy? And the only choice we have right now, probably, and I know this for sure, Jason, would be that we have to pull together as best as we can and fight through this adversity as hard as it is, because the word frustration is easily exaggerated in these times, and it should be. So having that happen, we have to understand, okay, what are we doing that's not working? And let's not do that. What are we doing that is working? And let's get back to more of that. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but again, I'm not going to criticize or challenge any of our guys' effort, but something is obviously off. So we have to figure out what that is, because until we start running the ball, you can't be one-dimensional.
Brad Biggs.
Hey, Matt, 2 things. Could you give us a little update on Cody Whitehair? And then number 2, as the play caller, how challenged are you with the way the line's playing right now?
Yeah, so I think Cody's okay. Brad, I got to find out more here on the plane, and when we get going here for tomorrow. He's tough, I hope he's okay. We had a couple guys there get nicked up, and I was glad that Eddie was okay. That was a little scary there for a little bit. As far as the play caller, and for me, I mean, and I've told you all this, that in the situation that we're in right now as an offense, you get to a point to thinking, okay, where is it and why is it at this point? And so we just have to look at everything. And I don't want to point fingers to, I just don't want to do that to just our offensive line or just our wide receivers or tight ends or the quarterback. I mean, because we're all in this thing together. So we just got to, I know it's not an answer that y'all want to hear, but we have to keep plugging away. We have to try to fight through this really difficult, position that we're in right now. And when you have good coaches and you have good players, you usually do that. Now that's going to be our challenge. And so we're going to be facing a really good Saints team here coming up, and we're going to have to do it right away and do it fast. So I'm going to start with myself, and then I'm going to critique and hold everybody accountable for the execution part too, Brad.
2 more for Coach Deion Miller.
Matt, are you seeing some like offensive rhythm during the week in practice? Is that why you're surprised this happened in the game tonight? Like you said, you didn't see it coming. So did you feel like you saw rhythm coming? You saw them taking the next step?
I did. Yeah. I thought it was a good week of practice, especially our Wednesday, Thursday practice, which I think was Thursday, Friday. The tempo was great. It was fast. There was good execution. Things were good. And, it's not clicking right now. It's not. And as any competitor, and I'm as competitive as a person as there is, that's the part where I have to challenge myself to stay patient and challenge myself to not get frustrated as well, and continue to just keep coaching to the best I can and look at everything. And so I have to be able to rely on our other coaches that we have on the staff that I have a lot of belief in. And I'm talking across the board, all 3 phases, but in particular offensively, what do we do and how do we get to this point? So I hate to feel repetitive, but that's the only thing we can do. We're 5-2. So what I said before is we built this little cushion, and now it's our job to be able to use it and not lose it.
Last one, Mark Potash.
Hey, Matt, how encouraged were you by Cole Kmet's 38-yard catch, both at the time of the game, because it kind of gave you a spark, and also as some kind of solution to what ails this offense?
Yeah, no, Mark, it was a great job by Nick throwing that ball to him. It wasn't wide open, right? He was covered, but that's the beauty of sometimes plays. Like he's covered, but he made a play. You make a throw, he made a play. And that's a credit to Cole. I thought it was right in front of me, made a little run after the catch. Very next play, he comes back and catches another ball. Cole Kmet's going to start playing more in this offense. And he's deserved it. He earns it. He's a guy that I think I'm really proud of the way he's playing. And for us, we have to be aware of that, understand that, and start using it.
Hey, Nick, I wanted to ask you about 2 plays. First, the interception in the end zone, what your vantage point was on that throw. And then in the third quarter, when you were backed up and Darnell had the double move, what you saw on that play and what caused the timing to be just a little bit off on that one.
Yeah, so the first one, they take away our first read. So I was trying to get it to Mooney in the back of the end zone, and they made a nice play on it. That was unfortunate. And then the second one, they were bringing an extra guy to the left, so I was hot. So there's a guy coming off the edge, and we had a double move on. I just didn't have enough time because of the nickel pressure to really step and throw it. So I actually had to throw it right when he's starting his break and let it go because of, they did a really nice job on that play disguising a blitz that we weren't at that time. Our call was different.
JJ.
And Nick, I wanted to ask you about a conversation Brian Greasy said he had with you that he relayed on the ESPN broadcast. He said that you told him sometimes play calls come in and I don't know, and I don't have time to execute that play call. Is that something you've communicated with Coach Nagy, and how do you get on the same page with your coach in terms of that play calling?
Yeah, that was definitely a miscommunication with Brian and I. We do these pregame conversations the day before the game just to give them information. That conversation, Coach Nagy and I have a great conversation on the sidelines. So there might be times where we go through it beforehand and say, hey, what do you think? And there's times where you got to get the ball out quick and whatnot. But in those situations, like Matt and I have a great relationship on the sideline with conversations and everything. I think, in that situation with Brian, it was just a miscommunication of words because that's not what I was trying to bring across in that conversation.
Right. Could you just be a little more specific in what the miscommunication was with that?
Say that again.
Well, could you be just a little more specific with what the miscommunication was with that?
Well, what he was trying. So when Coach Nagy and I talk on the sidelines, we'll go through plays in different situations and go through the defense. And I'll be honest, like, hey, right now, maybe get the ball out quicker. They're bringing some pressures, whatnot. So we were talking about game situations and game, different, Coach Nagy and I's conversations and our relationship. So part of that was, the detail, hey, maybe we don't have the time right now for this type of drop because of what they're bringing and the pressures they're bringing. It's easier with that to, hey, 1, 2, 3, ball out. So that's where the miscommunication lies. Is those are actually conversations Coach Nagy and I have on the sidelines, so that when we go to the field, we're ready to roll. And I think that's a valuable relationship I have with him, to be able to talk like that and understand specifically. And y'all heard me talk about, each game is its own entity, so you have to understand how to play it in the appropriate way.
Jason Leisure.
Nick, with all the struggles you guys have had, what do you feel is right with this offense right now?
That's a tough question. I think the biggest thing is, throughout the season, at times we've been able to make plays to help our team, to put us in position to either come back in games or win games. Tonight was not one of those examples. We didn't play well offensively. And it's tough. It's, you go out there and you prepare all week. You want to go out there and you give it your all. And, the Rams did a nice job on us tonight. They did a really nice job. They played fast on defense and, disrupted us. But in the grand scheme of things, this is one game, and, it's been a crazy season. And obviously we've talked about this a lot. And my mindset is continue to look at it, continue to have these conversations, continue to work through this, because the season does continue on. It doesn't stop right now. It's never easy. It really tests you as a player, as a person, because it's not easy. You come to your locker, you hurt for your teammates, you hurt that you weren't able to make enough plays, that we lost. But ultimately it does, allow you to grow, because it ultimately sucks, but you have to learn how to get through it. So that's the stage we're at as a team. We've been fortunate to come out back in some games, and, this was not one of them.
Pat Finley.
And Nick, on the pick that got tipped, what did you see when you were rolling left and throwing it?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they came down on a mill, and then I was trying to shoot it to the corner of the end zone to give Mooney a chance to make a play. So they made it. The defender made a nice play, tipping it to his teammate. So unfortunate,
Deion Miller.
Nick, if you and Matt are having these great conversations and you feel like the offense is ready to roll when you take the field, what do you feel like is, as he said, so obviously off right now?
Yeah, I mean, if I had the answer right now in this moment, we probably wouldn't be, talking about it. But I'd say just, keeping it real. This is where you test your culture. This is where you test the people you work with, whether it's the coaches and the players. Like, who are we going to be? Are we going to be in it together, or are we going to go against each other? That's sort of the crossroads. And we're very fortunate to be, at 5-2. Everything's in front of us. Season's not over. I think that's important to remind every single person, not only in the locker room, but out there, the season's not over. We have to continue to work through this. Conversations are important, and then obviously implementing. So that's something that the coaching staff, the players, everything, we have to continue to look at ourselves in the mirror and ultimately be there for one another and go through this thing like people that care about each other. And it's the toughest part of sports, but I know someday when I'm done playing this game, I'll look back and miss these moments, in the sense of, wow, that's where those special relationships are made in, the tough times. Because, I look back on some special years, and there were some games and some special seasons that sucked, that you got to the locker room, it was like, tonight it's tough, it hurts, but the good teams really find a way to get through this in a positive way and improve. And I've said it from the moment I got here, I really like our locker room. I really like our locker room. And I know that this is a locker room that can take this and turn it into a positive.
Kevin Fishbane.
And Nick, in your 4 starts, you guys haven't been able to run the ball successfully. I'm wondering how that's kind of hindered what you would like to do. And if you've seen some of these defenses, some of the challenges they're throwing at you just because the run game hasn't been there?
Yeah, ultimately I got to play better and help our team out in these situations. And we have to figure out how to run the ball effectively. I think the big thing is just finding a rhythm of who we want to be. And, in this situation, we really got to continue to work. We really got to assess who we want to be and find that identity. And when we find that identity of what we want to be, that's when we'll take off. But that's where we're at right now. But we have the people here to do it. And it goes back to, once again, believing in one another and continue to go to work every single day for the person next to you.
Couple more for Nick. Andy?
Yeah, Nick, I just wanted to get back to the conversation with Brian and just clarify. Are you saying, are there any issues in terms of, when the play is being called and how much time you have to run it?
No. So that conversation was like conversations that Coach Nagy and I have during the game based on situations. So when we go out there, we'll go through a call sheet. Hey, do you like this? And like right now they're bringing pressure or something. It's going to be hard to get that one off. So then he's like, all right, well, let's go to this one. Cause then it's that conversation with him to let him know like, hey, this is what's best for us, but it's happening on the sidelines to where then we can go in the game and go out there and play the best. But, Coach Nagy and I have a great relationship, and I would never say anything like that. And I can see how it would be taken that way. I was able to see the video real quick, and, those conversations, obviously, everything I know about Brian is a great dude. They're quick 5-10 minute conversations, and you can't get into detail, but you'll see Coach Nagy and I during games, like going through his call sheet and talking and going down the line. And part of that is addressing like, hey, what do we feel like? What do we think? Hey, what's going on the defense? Are they giving us trouble? Stuff like that.
Last one for Nick. Dan Wiederer.
Nick, there was a segment in the first half where you guys had to burn 2 timeouts right back to back with just one play in the middle. Why are those hiccups occurring, and why has it become such a struggle to find an identity this deep into a season?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we have to, look at internally, why they're happening, why there's communication errors. And then I don't have an answer for you with the identity thing. I don't have a good one. And I think the big thing is this is where we're at, and we have to realize that. And I believe we do realize that. And we have to figure out what that is and what this looks like. And sometimes that's taking a moment and taking a step back and looking in the mirror and then going to work and realizing like, hey, I'm here for my buddy next to me and, going through this. But I don't have a great answer, quite honestly, but I will tell you, I will get back to work and I will continue to move forward, and I will do everything I can along with my teammates and along with my coaches to work through this to figure it out. So when we hit the field on game day, we're dangerous at every moment, and it can be a rhythmic game. We can, do all the little things we want to do and aspire to do, but it's going to be a process till then. This isn't going to be easy. This is going to be very hard, and it's going to take every single person to buy in and believe that it's possible. And that's the only way these things get fixed and they improve. If there was a book about it, I'm sure everyone would be buying, but this is football. We're humans out there. So we got to figure out what's going to make this run and who we are. And you know what? I believe we will get there.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night.
What were your thoughts going through returning that fumble, and especially when you saw the flags on the field?
It was a great play by 9-4 by Rob, by Quinn. So we just seen the ball on the ground, just take your time, scoop it up. His arms right there, going in. When you see the flag, like, oh my God, just preparing for the worst, hoping for the best type of situation, So I was happy when it stood, though. I can say that.
JJ Stankovitz.
Eddie, what was just the prevailing feeling on the sideline for you guys as a defense today as LA put up 24 points?
We're not gonna break. We might bend, but we won't break. We're not gonna fold. And I feel like, as a defensive unit, which I love, not feel, it's been like that for a while. No matter what we give up, we're gonna always play our game. We're gonna play 4 quarters. We want to finish it. That was what was the motto. Like, look, man, we gave up this. We're not breaking. We're gonna still go out there. We're gonna continue to fight. We're gonna make them feel us. And I feel like they felt us. Like I said, some things we need to correct. 24 points. We never like people to score on us, but so that's part of it. You come in. You got another great opponent this week, Sunday. We just got to come in and get better.
Sean Heyman.
Hey Eddie, how's your knee and was that a scary moment there for you?
Yeah, I knew it wasn't nothing too bad. I've been through the ACL, but I'm fine. I'm feeling good. It was just a little scare, going in the air. But I knew it wasn't nothing too serious, and it started to calm down. I started to feel much better, but I'm good.
DM Noah.
Eddie, what was the mood in the locker room like after a loss like this on a big stage when you guys knew you had a chance to make a statement and it just didn't really happen that way?
Man, it was tough. At first when you walk in, guys are still, holding your head down. But, it's a lot of football left for us. We know the type of team we got. We're not giving up. We got a bunch of guys, a group of guys that's going to continue to fight. No matter what happens, we're going to stick to each other, rally around one another, and we're going to get better. And that starts with us in practice, going back in there. We know we got a quick turnaround, but like I said, we got a great group of guys that's not going to break for nobody. We're not right here playing a blame game. We're going to hold everyone accountable, and we're going to get better.
Dan Weeder.
Eddie, just back to the injury. What did you feel when you jumped there initially?
Just a little sting like on the outside of my knee a little bit, and like I said, it started to wear off at first. I started moving it, like I told Doc when he ran out there, he did ACL. I know it in the ACL. I've been through that, so like I said, I'm good. I'm just glad it wasn't nothing serious.
Dan Weeder.
Defensively, Eddie, how do you guys not lose faith in the offense when they're scuffling and still trying to get things figured out almost halfway into the season?
Because we're a team. It's a team sport, and we know what we have, the type of players we have on offense. We'll put them against any defense any day. We go against those guys week in, week out, so we know what they're capable of. And it's tough, you're going to come up short some games. You don't want it to happen, but this is the NFL. We got to continue to, minimize and eliminate all the mistakes that was made on both sides of the ball. But we're going to continue to rally around one another and do our best and play our best football from here on out.
It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Riles. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Riles. WCPT. WCPT.
This the coldest sports show. You were getting the hour from 6 p.m. to 7. Chillin' with Lauren Cox and the man Marvelous. Shout out to Mr. Riles and the Italian style. You what sports is the only politic.
WCPT. WCPT. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Riles. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Riles.
I first say, would you rather lose pretty or win ugly? I think that we'd rather win ugly.
Is Nick Foles the answer? We're going to see once they get out on the field and start putting it together on the offense. But the inconsistency of Trubisky over these last few years, it's just, even in the year that we had a great run, what you saw, I think, last year was the inconsistent offense, wasn't producing. I thought the play calling was very pedestrian.
My mother would whoop me if I was lying once a week.
Welcome, everybody, to the Rewind Sports 60 on 8:20 a.m. This is the fastest hour in sports conversation, and I am joined by my esteemed panel, Dan Marver, Marvelous One, and Jerry Riles, the amazing Jerry Riles. How are you guys?
We're doing good. What's up, Lauren?
What's up? I'm your host. I'm Lauren Cox, and we want you guys to join in the fastest hour of sports. Call us at 773-763-9278. Again, that's 773-763-9278. We want to hear from you guys, and you can also check us out on Facebook. We are streaming live at The Rewind Sports 60. So I want to get right into it. It was a hell of a game last night. Dan Marver, the Marvelous One, I know you were all over it. What are your thoughts on that amazing upset last night?
You mean the Northwestern over Maryland?
Not quite.
No, I thought that the Dodgers were going to be one win away from winning the World Series when morning broke, but the Rays rallied in the ninth inning and won the game, so it's 2-2, so it's best of 3 now. But I was actually enthralled by the Big Ten. I mean, there were three big upsets. Rutgers won, and Purdue, and of course Indiana with big wins. But of course Ohio State, Michigan, and Wisconsin held serve. But I thought that the Northwestern win over Maryland was a little surprising because they really had a strong offense. They have a graduate transfer quarterback who was in Indiana, interestingly, and his first name is Peyton, so maybe they got something there.
Okay.
But in terms of the NFL, I mean, the Bears are 5-1. It'll be interesting to see if when we come in the air next week, hopefully they're not 5-3 because they got the Rams and the Saints. So
that's right.
Those are 2 tough games, followed by the Titans, of course. But be that as it may, I mean, this is really going to test them, and I guess we'll get into some of that as we progress here today. And don't forget, it's almost the 100th anniversary of radio coming up. I read this. In 1920, the first commercial station was, I believe, November 2nd. Isn't that interesting? 1920. So,
cool.
So we should celebrate that, and then we'll have daylight time, of course, ending at the same time. So
See?
a lot of stuff going on. And 2 months till Christmas.
And don't forget about a little election that may be coming up very soon.
I'm done. I don't have to listen to those stupid ads anymore. Well, you still have to hear the stupid ads. No, it was funny. At my polling place, they had a stick ad for a state representative that wasn't even in our district. I'm not kidding you. There were 2 ads for Jan Chankowski, who's in a different district than the one Brad Schneider represents, which is my district. So I thought that was quite interesting.
It's getting hot and heavy.
Somebody didn't get the memo.
No, absolutely. And I have to bring in the amazing Jerry Riles. Jerry, talk to me a bit about that game last night.
Unbelievable, Lauren Cox. Unbelievable. It was a sportsgasm yesterday. It was a sportsgasm yesterday. And for those of you who are not really familiar with what a sportsgasm is, it was yesterday fun-filled from top to bottom, from 11 o'clock a.m. all the way until the wee hours of the morning, so to speak. There was sports televised all across the country. It was fabulous. It was phenomenal. It was outstanding. It was dynamic. It was exciting. It was exhilarating. It was just a hell of a lot of fun. And unfortunately, there always has to be a winner and a loser. But in most cases, the teams that I was supporting, they were winning. But Lauren?
Yes.
Unbelievable game last night. Game
Crazy.
4 of the World Series between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Unbelievable finish.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I'm actually jealous. Because they have fans, and that's what I live for. I live to go to games.
Yes.
You know how many games I go to usually. Yeah, you really pack them in, no question about it. But what were your thoughts on the finish of that illustrious game? 2 out in the bottom of the 9th inning. The congratulations and credit to the Tampa Bay Rays for the way that they continue to scrap and fight back. But the Dodgers, they scored pretty much all of their runs with 2 outs. With 2 outs in the inning, and You thought that they were on their way to, take a commanding 3-1 lead in a best-of-7 series, but the Tampa Bay Rays, and that's why they're there, they've been scrapping all year long, 60-game season, but they've been scrapping all year long, and unfortunately for the Dodgers themselves and for their fans, the 2 miscues, but I was screaming like and no offense to women, but I was screaming like a girl last night. It was unbelievable, Lauren.
Well, I was screaming like a girl too, because I that game was just, like you said, you just absolutely thought the Dodgers everybody thought that they would be up 3-1, and there was a change in plans. But what I am most interested in and finding out is how they're going to respond. Because, they talked to them a bit after the game and they say, we're an experienced team. We're not going to let this rile us. We've put this behind us already. And you think about Tampa and it's like, okay, how are they going to react? Obviously, are they going to be energized? Are they going to, is it going to be a hangover? Like, what is that effect going to look like? And I just can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers have more familiar names because they've been there so often, but they haven't won the series since the 80s, isn't that right?
Yeah, 88.
Yeah. So, I mean, they may end up not winning this one, too, because Tampa's a scrappy team.
They are a scrappy team, and it's unfortunate for the Dodgers to have the miscues, and back-to-back miscues in the bottom of the ninth when it was the most costly. And, of course, Will Smith, he's got to be beside himself. And because Muncie's relay to him at the plate was right there.
Yeah.
And he thought it was going to be a bang-bang play.
It was a good sweep tag. Too bad nobody was there, including the ball.
Well, exactly. And that, you saw Dave Roberts in the dugout. It was just exhilarating. And for me, as far as the Dodgers are concerned, because you're right, they've been there numerous times.
The preceding program, the Rewind Sports.
We're on the air.
That was the fastest. You're not kidding about the fastest hour.
We're still on the air. We're still on the air. Wrong computer. But we're still on the air. But yeah, it was Dave Roberts in the dugout. His reaction, it was fantastic. But you go from thinking that we got this, and again, we're taking a commanding 3-1 lead, and yet Clayton Kershaw in Game 5 to finally bring it home. Whatever the case may be, as far as the Dodgers are concerned, they continuously, year in and year out, run up in front of some roadblocks, whether it's the Cubs when the Cubs win the series, or, of course, the Houston Astros with their cheating, and now what's going on with the Rays. So I'm pulling for the L.A. Dodgers. One particular reason is the fact that Magic Johnson has ownership in the Dodgers, and I want to see him have the success that he so desperately, I think, is well deserved. But you're right, Marvelous.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't won the World Series since.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after today, they have to travel back to Los Angeles. So I mean, we'll see what happens.
You're crazy, man.
This has got to be their year. This has got to be their year.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's all in Arlington.
You're crazy, man.
LA.
Right.
Well, that's the only other thing.
Sure.
I'm not. I understand and I feel, but it's going to be kind of bittersweet for me if the Dodgers win, because you got that bum and those Lakers that win the NBA title, and now they're in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, those cities. I mean, Tampa won the NHL this year, and maybe Tampa will be strong in the NFL if Brady gets it together. But he lost today.
Yeah, did they lose?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was 23-22 or something like that. Something like that. I don't know. It was, hey, as far as the NFL is concerned, and we're going to be talking with Bruce Heron, our weekly contributor, as far as the Bears are concerned. They are off today. Why? Because they are on Monday Night Football, taking on the Los Angeles Rams, Lauren. Woo-hoo. And wow, this is a big game. Bruce Heron will be joining us to help break down that huge game. And Lauren, you tell me, all week long, we've been hearing on Sports Talk Radio, we've been watching on the sports shows on television, whether it's locally or nationally, that this 5-1 Bears team is not really a really good 5-1 Bears team.
Exactly.
What have you been hearing? What are your thoughts on that?
So I have on my Bears shirt today.
Go Bears!
To give them some extra love, attention, and everything else, because they're going to need it for that game tomorrow. And that's the thing with them. I look at their record.
Right.
I want to believe their record. I look at the defense. I believe the defense. But I'm just not as confident as I would like to be heading into this game.
Why?
Because it just seems like they don't have it together. They don't have it together. The defense is good. Foles is up and down. Nagy's play calling is, I don't know. The run game, they don't have it together. And they're playing a team that does have it together. For coaching, the quarterback, wasn't it Jared? Jared Goff is doing well now. The defense is stellar. They got the two good wide receivers. They have it.
Right.
We don't have, what do we have?
We got a stellar defense.
Right.
We got a stellar defense.
That's not enough. Where's the offense?
Well, it is enough. It's a simple fact that
not
we
enough.
have a 5-1 record. Lauren, think about this. If our defense was
You a fan
suspect,
now? You a Bears fan now?
Well,
you want to get on the
I've
gravy train?
always been a Bears fan.
We're 5-1, and now you want to be a Bears fan?
I've always been a Bears fan.
When we were 2 up, and I was telling you, come on, you. But now you want to. Are you a Bears fan now?
Of
Yes
course,
or no?
I'm always a Bears fan. But I'm always But guess what?
Yeah.
Hey, Lauren, guess what?
Yes.
Listen to this. You want to see how much a Bear fan I am now for this 2020 season?
Yes.
The Bears will beat the LA Rams tomorrow on Monday Night Football. They will beat them. Listen to this. Listen, no, that's not what. Listen, that's not the punchline.
Guaranteed.
Well, take it easy now.
I want to decide they gonna beat them. Go
Take
ahead.
it easy now.
Name it, yeah.
Take it easy now. Listen, they will beat the Rams tomorrow.
Okay.
They will beat them on Monday Night Football. Lauren, listen to this. Are you sitting down? Are you sitting down?
I'm sitting down. Got my
Lauren.
wig on tight. What?
That a girl. The next 2 opponents, the New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans, the Bears will take you.
Okay.
They'll handle business. Now what you want? Now what you got, Lauren? How you like me now? They beat the LA Rams tomorrow. The Bears will beat both the New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans.
You heard the bold prediction right here on the Rewind Sports.
I want to mention one thing before the phone lines light up. The GOAT did win 45-20 today before somebody calls in and corrects me.
45-20?
Yeah, right.
Congratulations to them. The not LA Raiders.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas Raiders. That was another game that I was kind of like, because
it was 24-10, and they outscored them in the second half. That's why it looked pretty dubious for a while.
But
Who's doing it?
And Lauren, I truly believe the reason that the Bears, they get past on the national stage against the Rams, and you talked about all the weapons that they have, but this defense, they know that they have to carry this football team. They know that they have to carry this football team. I believe Nick Foles.
That's what I was going to ask you. What is Nick going to do?
I believe Nick Foles will have enough gumption, if I can say that. I think he'll have enough wherewithal. And we heard the soundbite as far as he was fantastic. He was fantastic in his post-game press conference last week.
Well, I first say, would you rather lose pretty or win ugly? I think that we'd rather win ugly.
That's it. We want to win ugly, and we're going to win ugly, but I think he's going to be pinpoint on as far as targeting his receivers and making connections.
Pinpoint?
I think so. I really believe so. But it's all predicated, in my opinion, on the play calling of the great Matt Nagy. Right, Lori Lightfoot?
Is Nick Foles the answer? You know, we're going to see once they get out on the field and start putting it together on the offense, but the inconsistency of Trubisky over these last few years, it's just, even in the year that we had a great run, what you saw, I think, last year was the inconsistent offense wasn't producing. I thought the play calling was very pedestrian.
That's going to be very key as far as the Bears' success, not only tomorrow night against the LA Rams, but moving forward. And again, I truly believe this Bears defense, barring any injury now, let me say that, barring
Don't
any
even put
injury.
that in the atmosphere.
Right, don't even put it out there. This Bears defense, they will hold it down. Now, Lauren, marvelous. And we're going to bring on the great Bruce Herron in a couple seconds. I swear to you, I pray to God all the time. And I'm praying to him again on the Rewind Sports 60, WCPT 820 AM. Lord Jesus Christ, my Savior in heaven, please, thank you for football. Thank you for baseball. Thank you for basketball, even though the Bulls won it and the Lakers won again. I'm sick of that.
Hey,
we got to do something about that.
LeBron and that
No, I'm not
championship that he
thanking.
won?
No, Lord, I can't thank you for that one. I can thank you for MJ, but I can't thank you for that one. But Lord, please, will you have the officials call a respectable game? Lord, will you have the officials for the Bears and the Rams game call a respectable game? Kyle Fuller is playing lights out defensively. He's knocking people's blocks off. And every time he hits somebody hard, a legal football play, Lord, they're throwing flags.
I know.
I'm sick of that.
You can watch other games. I watched some today where the same kind of hit is called the other way, or even on the quarterbacks. It's inconsistent.
It's
for sure.
inconsistent, it's poor, it's terrible, and it's taken away from the game. A game that we've been desperately waiting for because of this darn virus we finally get. And the officials are stepping away. Get them out of the way. Let the fellas play football. Kyle Fuller, rock the bells. Welcome on the DR60 hotline. You love him, ladies and gentlemen. Number 51 in your program. He's number 1 in our hearts. He's on the Rewind Sports 60, WCPT 820 AM. He's the great Bruce Herron. What's up, Bruce? How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Good.
Great.
Good.
Hey, man.
Good.
Hey, man. Lauren has helped me become a true Chicagoan and a true Bear fan again because we have a 5-1 record, and I'm on the bandwagon. Are you with me, Bruce? As far as my prediction, the Bears will knock off the Rams in Monday Night Football, and with that victory, they're going to handle business with Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints, and they're going to take care of the Tennessee Titans. You with me, Bruce? No. You're not supposed to be laughing at me. You're not supposed to be laughing at me.
Hey, listen, guys, listen. The Bears defense are gonna show up and they are gonna act a fool. And I'm telling you, they're gonna kick some ass tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
You know what? The defense has found they found out something. They found out something about themselves. And what they found out is that if they can get out and set the tone of the game, the offense will follow. I'm not worried about Nick Foles, man. Nick Foles is going to be Nick Foles. He's going to do his job. It's just that we've got to get our running game straight. Once we get that running game in order, and I'm telling you, I'm looking for them to improve this week. I'm looking for them to improve drastically. And so they do that, they're going to be just fine. But the defense, don't have to worry about the defense, man. I mean, they handled the Rams before. And you know what? And they handle them like champs. And so tomorrow night, it's going to be Bears. Trust me.
No, I hope you're right. And, you know, we played the soundbite from the great Lori Lightfoot, our mayor here in Chicago. And God bless her and her administration for all the heavy lifting that they're trying to do to protect people, despite the fact that some people don't want protection. But she said last season, you know, that Matt Nagy's play calling was somewhat pedestrian. And we still see, even despite a 5-1 mark, that Matt Nagy has fallen in love with himself and his plays. And true enough, you expect the players to go out and execute. Their job is to go out there and execute. But you, in my opinion, you have to put them in the best position to be able to execute. And he admitted this past week that he's made some mistakes. But for the life of me, and Marvelous, check out the score of the Kansas City game. Le'Veon Bell, who was out there on the market for a hot second, gets picked up, signs a 1-year deal with the defending Super Bowl champions and the best quarterback in the league. That, of course, Patrick Mahomes. And Andy Reid utilized him as a running back to keep the defense off balance. But the Bears and Ryan Pace didn't even entertain the idea of going after Le'Veon Bell. They won't give the rock to the kid, David Montgomery, who they got out of Iowa State. I don't understand it. I don't understand that. So the defense, it's all on their shoulders. But I agree with you, Nick Foles. He's got to be put in a position to be able to execute effectively in order for this team to have some success.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. And I think there was some play calling snafus last week with the play calling from Matt Nagy. But Matt Nagy is a competent head coach and a play caller, and he understands that he calls some plays that he probably should not have, considering the results. But to be truthful with you, Matt Nagy is going to call a hell of a game. And I just, you know what? I'm a great believer in this Bears defense, man. This defense they've come alive, and I really think that they're gonna come out to play tomorrow night, and they're gonna put some whooping on the Rams. And I'm telling you, man, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a hell of a game. The Bears are probably gonna win by 7, at least. And you know what? And the Mayor Lightfoot, I tell you what, I love that lady, man. I'm telling you, she's superior, and she loves football. I met her personally last year on the field when the Bears had all the alumni out, and I met her on the sidelines, and we took a picture with her, my wife and I, and we had a great time with her. She's just a fantastic person, and she loves her football. And so if she says the Bears are going to kick butt, you can bet the Bears are going to kick butt.
Guys, this is Dan here. I wanted to give Jerry that score. The Chiefs won 43-16, so Mahomes is now 6-1. Although Deshaun Watson isn't doing so good, they lost to the Packers today.
Right.
But here's the thing.
The Packers.
I know. But here's the thing. How's our defense going? I think we're going to see a lot of passing from the Rams, probably, and our running game. Is it going to improve? Those are the two questions I have: defending the Rams' pass and improving our running game. Those are two keys, I think. How about you guys?
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right, man. The Bears have got to get their act together with the running game. That's something that they have to get. They have to fix. But you know what? Our defense, man, we've got one of the best defenses in the league. And as long as our defensive rush can get in there and force a pass when the quarterback is not trying to, not trying to take his time and pick and choose receivers, they got to force him. And I think that they will do that. Khalil Mack is a leader of that damn defense, and I'm telling you something, man. I'm looking forward to Khalil Mack getting in there and showing up. The
Rams.
The Rams, and I'm just in awe with the way that they're playing this year. So I'm a big believer in what these guys are going to do, and I'm pulling for them 100%.
We just have to be able to outscore them. That's my only concern.
No, that's everybody's concern. But for whatever the reason the case may be, the Bears all season long have been scratching and clawing and coming away with the victory after 60 minutes of work. As far as Khalil Mack is concerned, we're on with the great Bruce Herron, number 51 of your Chicago Bears. Played back in the day for 5 years over on the lakefront with the greatest of all time. May he rest in peace. That, of course, Walter Payton. But Bruce Herron on our TR60 hotline. As far as Khalil Mack is concerned, Bruce, he is questionable right now as far as the scouting report is concerned. They said he's got a bad back. I don't think Khalil Mack is going to be. I don't think he's going to miss any action as far as this game is concerned because it is played on the biggest stage. No question about it.
Absolutely, man. Khalil Mack is a stud, man. He may be a little banged up, but a banged up Khalil Mack, shoot, man, I'd rather have him than probably 90% of the pass rushers in the league right now. So,
Hey, Bruce, Lauren here. So I hear you guys talking a lot about the defense. The defense, that's a known. We all know the defense is stellar, but my concern is the offense. And so specifically the wideout play, rookie wide receiver Darnell Mooney he's quickly becoming a steal for the Bears. He's 18th. He's got 18 catches, 196 yards. He's really starting to gain Foles' confidence. Talk to me about the wide receiving play as well as the tight end production, which needs to be there on the offensive end.
Yeah, you know what? I really think that they've got to utilize their tight ends more. They've got 3 tight ends, man, that are serviceable. I'm telling you, Komet is every week we see him getting better and better. And this kid is a ball player, and I love the fact that the Bears went out and got him. The wide receivers, I'm telling you something. They've got talent, man. The Bears do have talent. It's all up to Nick Foles to put the ball in play and to put these guys in position so that they can be successful. And I really think that that's going to happen. The play calling tomorrow night is going to be key. But we need them to execute on the ground game. That ground game has got to come into play in order to keep the safeties honest and on the defensive front for the Rams. That the Bears they've got enough talent to go in and take this thing. And I think tomorrow night we'll see exactly what they're going to be doing. But if they can get their ground game going. They will be successful tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to it. It's just a matter of getting out and believing in yourself and getting it done.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's great bulletin board material, Bruce. That's great, rah-rah speech. That
Jerry,
stuff
you're
is
killing me, man.
no,
You are killing me, man.
dude, Bruce. I'm trying to be real. This is real sports, real talk, just plain real, and I'm trying to be real, man. And the reason I put it out there like that is the fact that it sounds fantastic. Lauren is absolutely right as far as the receivers are concerned. How effective can Nick Foles be? And the Bears need to establish the running attack. But Bruce, you played the game at the highest level. You played the game at the highest level. The Marvelous One, myself, Lauren, we've been watching. Our listeners, everybody that's tuning in on the Facebook and YouTube, we've been watching this sport. We've been watching this game. And we know. The game, the game is won and lost in the trenches. And when we look at the offensive line of the Chicago Bears, it don't look like we gonna win, man. It don't look like we gonna win. And no offense to those guys, but that offensive line of the Bears, listen, God bless Nick Foles. Because if I got hit half the times that he got hit, I'd be on a stretcher in Mercy Hospital, and they're about to close Mercy. That offensive line, brother, that offensive line is, they got to come ready. They got to bring their lunch pail and their Howard hats and play for 60 minutes. Because if they don't, it's going to be a long afternoon for that Bears offense, brother. What do you think?
All that if stuff you're talking, Jerry.
Yeah.
That if stuff is going out the window, man. The Bears are going to come ready to play.
Okay.
Man. I'm telling you, they're going to come ready to play. You just, what? Let's sit and watch. And you know what? After the game, you need to call me so I can tell you. Jerry, I told you.
No, hey, you can do what our good friend Henry Hackney does. He calls me up during the game. I go, Henry, the game is on. We're trying to figure out the game. We're trying to watch the game. He goes, I can't have a conversation. I'm watching the game. You call me at halftime, but you can't call me during the game. I can't do that, man. No.
Oh, man. Don't blast Henry, man. Henry's my bud, man. Henry knows what he's talking about, dude.
I love him. He's the best. He's outstanding. So are you, Bruce. So your prediction as far as this Bears game tomorrow against the Rams, it's big time. It's all the lights are on, man. You think the Bears got a victory?
Yeah, 27-20, man.
My man.
27-20. Bears win.
Bruce, I have to ask you, where did this confidence come from in the Bears? Because, in the beginning, your friend Jerry Riles, you guys dogged the Bears from the beginning. The record doesn't really reflect what's going on, and you just were so unsure, and you're just so confident and sure today. So what changed for you?
Well, what changed is the fact that the Bears haven't played their best this year. And they're 5-1. They're 5-1. And you know what? If they haven't played their best, but just imagine the Bears coming out and playing their best, what they can do and what they can be. And that's where I am. I mean, even without playing their best, they're 5-1. So you can't knock that. They're tied for the division lead. I mean, you look at Detroit, how they won today. I mean, in Minnesota is. I don't know what's happening with Minnesota. Minnesota is just a shell of what they were a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Cousins is what happened in Minnesota.
Damn.
Right, and then Green Bay. Green Bay proved if you put pressure on Aaron Rodgers, you can kick their butts. Tampa Bay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so the Bears have the talent to do it. It's up to them to go out and execute. And you know what? I feel really confident that they will. I really feel confident they will. Yeah, you know what? Let's get to the game tomorrow night, and then we'll talk after. so I can tell you I told you so.
There you go. Hey, Bruce, it's always a pleasure, man. We're going to spring in and let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. And we want to say hello to your fan base who are continuously and steadily growing week in and week out, supporting the great Bruce Aaron, brother. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, guys.
Stay safe. And, hey, man, we got you 27-20 on record. The Bears over the Rams. Monday Night Football, brother.
27-20, baby.
You got it.
Bears. Go Bears.
There you go. We'll talk to you. Bruce Aaron on our TR60 hotline, ladies and gentlemen, joining us every week on the Rewind Sports 60. Bears, normally after a Bears victory this 2020 season, but they're on Monday Night Football, so we get the preview on there, and the great Bruce Aaron say, hey, it's a lock.
Right. But, I mean, you were mentioning the offensive line, and against the Panthers, it ranked very poorly. I mean, I guess the group was Leno, Coward, Whitehair, Fetty, and Massey. I mean, you don't hear much about the linemen usually, and it's really hard for me to judge them because
why?
Because the results.
Aren't you watching the game?
The results.
I just told you, Nick Foles has got his brains beaten in. If it were me, I'd be at Mercy Hospital on a stretcher, laid out in the hallway because he's getting. Yeah. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from the offensive line, but they're not that good.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're supposed to also create openings for the running back, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's another part of their job.
So they're not that good.
Yeah. So maybe do they need replacements, or how do we solve that?
Replacement? This GM, Ryan Pace, just paid half. I think he paid the entire offensive line. Well, I think we stuck with them for the next couple of years.
Okay.
This has been a reoccurring problem for how many years have we been talking? No,
too many years.
This was a problem.
No.
You said
too many years.
Yes, too many. Absolutely.
I couldn't get it out fast enough, Lauren. Too many years.
Know. Yes, and if we all see it, you see it, Dan sees it. Why haven't they done anything? I mean, honestly, it's better than it's been in some years.
It is.
I think so. I think so.
Are you kidding me?
The Jay Cutler days. Oh my gosh!
No, that offensive line wasn't that bad. No. You had Kyle Long, you had Cody Whitehair, you had some decent guys up front trying to protect. That was a different issue. That line was better than the line that we currently have.
It's been a problem for years. Sometimes I don't know if Foles is making it look a little. Well, it was looking bad early.
So here's the deal, as far as the offensive line is concerned, and you said it. We can see it. Everyone can see it. To make the offensive line look good, the pressure is on the shoulders of Nick Foles. The entire pressure, as far as the offense is concerned, is on the number one focused athlete on the field. That, of course, the quarterback. Mm-hmm. He definitely needs to manage the game to the highest of the highest. He needs to, when he's passing the ball, and we know we're going to be passing, 60-70% of the time. He needs to make sure that the ball is out of his hands between 2.4 and 2.5 seconds to be effective. He needs to make sure that he is on point as far as moving this offense down the field. And we know that they're capable of doing that. Now, the important thing about that is the fact that once the ball is released in 2.4, 2.5 seconds at the most, he's got to make sure that he's accurate on his target. And more importantly, or as important, his receivers, whether it's Mooney, whether it's Robinson, whether it's Miller, or whether it's Graham, or whether it's Komet, they have to make sure that they're running effective routes and they are in position where they're supposed to be to make sure that the play is executed properly. If one of those three components or one of those components break down, it's going to be a long afternoon for the Bears, or a long evening for the Bears. But Nick Foles, it all starts with him, because that offensive line, they're not going to produce. They can't. They simply aren't that good to be able to produce at the rate that we need them to produce at. So Nick Foles is going to have to pick up some of the slack and be effective as far as passing the ball is concerned. Now it comes down to the play calling as far as Matt Nagy is concerned, because if you're effective enough in calling your plays and your players can go out and execute, this is going to open up hopefully the opportunity for David Montgomery to get a handoff every now and then, because we know we're not running the ball. Yeah. But once he touches the football, you'll keep the defense honest if he can pick up 4, 5, 6 yards a pop.
Hey, Jerry, isn't this partly Pace's problem? He's drafted exactly 2 tackles in his 6 seasons, and neither one has played a single play for the Bears.
He's terrible.
Yeah.
He's terrible. He's a terrible general manager. He is terrible.
Okay.
Well,
Lauren, you just said it.
Obviously, some people don't see it. How many years has he been here?
6.
Okay.
Lauren,
no.
You said it. You said it. If I can see it, you can see it, he can see it. If we can see that these guys aren't good, we can see this. And we're not new to this sport. We can see this. There's something wrong with the player evaluation. There's something wrong with the scouting.
I mean, the glaring issue, obviously, is the Trubisky pick.
It's glaring.
So how much time does he have? I mean, is it heat on him this year? Because you could tell it was when he tried to bring in Nick, which still wasn't a stellar plan, in my opinion, or move. So is the heat on him? Is this a do or die year?
It should be, but as long as the Bears continue to win, they have a 5-1 slate. I just told you they're going to win that Monday Night Football game. Bruce Herron just told you they're going to win 27-20 against the Rams. They're going to improve to 6-1.
Okay.
They're going to be knocking on the door as far as the Seattle Seahawks record is concerned in the NFC. As long as the Bears continue to win and progress, Ryan Pace is going to look like a hero.
It's reminding me of the Le'Veon Bell thing when with Quentin Spain of the
Quentin
Bills.
Dimps.
Quentin Spain was available. He's a
what?
A guard from the Bills. He released him, and we didn't sign him either. Like we didn't sign Bell.
Yeah.
So
I simply, and here's the deal. And Quentin Demps, our fearless leader on the Rewind Sports 60, we miss him dearly. I called him. You heard his intro. He put that together. But Quentin Demps loves Ryan Pace.
Yes.
He loved Ryan Pace because they were together down in New Orleans. Ryan Pace, I believe, is a good guy. I believe he's a really good guy. But that doesn't make him an evaluator as far as talent is concerned in the National Football League.
Oh, please.
We saw what happened with the White Sox and Ricky Renteria. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's a great developing guy, but he's not a manager on the highest level as far as baseball is concerned.
You know what Leo DeRocher said?
And let's play two.
Nice,
that was
nice,
Ernie.
nice guys finish last.
Yeah, nice guys. And the Sox didn't want to finish last, so they got rid of the guy. Listen, this is just my theory.
It's business.
It should be business, but it's poor business. It's poor business as far as the Bears are concerned.
Yeah.
And I do feel for Matt Nagy because I'm sure he looked at this thing, and of course, they don't want to say it. They don't want to reveal it. They don't want to put it out there publicly. But I guarantee you, Lauren, he's looking at this. Matt Nagy he said, what the this? What the hell am I going to do with this? But in the public's eye, these guys are great. And they have to execute. We're doing great. And he goes, what the hell is this? This guy, he's full of... Remember, who was you remember the Bears' worst player? Mike Ditka said that he was the worst player ever.
Who's that?
Stan, what was that? The lineman?
Oh.
You remember? What was his name? Stan. I can't think, but it'll come to me. He said it was the worst ever. Mike Ditka didn't hold his tongue. He didn't bite his tongue. He said, this is the
we
worst.
know that. Don't we know that?
Yes, we certainly know it firsthand.
On the air.
Right, when he hung up on us.
Stan Thomas. Thank you. Thank you, Devin Tingle, our great producer. Stan Thomas. He said he's the worst football player, the worst I've ever seen in my life. Ditka didn't pull any punches. These guys, they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you.
He can't do that.
What do you mean he can't?
He can't. He's saying it as much as he can, but he can't come out and say these players suck.
Why?
Because that's totally inappropriate.
It's inappropriate for us to have to sit there and watch this crap.
Yeah. Hey.
Lauren, listen. Nationally, the guys who played the sport at the highest level, the Michael Irvins and the Louis Riddicks and the Troy Aikmans and all these guys who played.
Yes.
They look at it and they say, these guys they're not good. This offensive line that the Bears, they say this. They're not good. But for some reason here in Chicago, we can't say it. I see it every week.
We can say it. You guys say it.
But they can say it. They can say, hey, you know what? Jay Leno Jr., you're not playing well. Jay Leno Jr., you're not playing well. You stink. Robert Massey Jr., you're not doing well. You guys, you stink. You stink. We deserve better. You got rid of Jordan Howard to bring in this David Montgomery, and then you don't use them.
Don't bring it up. So through 6 games, the Bears ranked 28th in yards per game, 28th in rushes per game, and 26th in offensive DVOA. So...
Is that an arrest warrant?
DOA dead on arrival?
Sounds like it.
Did you say DOA dead on arrival?
Pretty much. That's what it sounds like. Why are we so bad?
Let's name the defensive stats. It's the opposite.
Oh yeah. They're in the top 5, if not the best defense. The defensive side of the ball, I love them for the simple fact that they're like, hey, you know what? We only can hold up our end of the bargain.
They gotta hold the other team under 20.
These guys are flying around, whether it's Roquan Smith, whether it's Robert Quinn, whether it's Trevathan, whether it's Akeem Hicks, and he's he is the anchor of that defense. Whether it's Khalil Mack, whether it's Kyle Fuller, whether it's Eddie Jackson, whatever the case may be, whether it's the rookie Jalen Johnson, the defense, they say, we got this. We are playing football, and we are going to knock the living hell out of whoever's coming our way. And again, I pray to you, Lord. I love you. I love you. Show some love this way. When Kyle Fuller puts a hurting on somebody, Lord, please, don't have the officials interfere with it. Don't. It's a football play. Let them knock the living hell out of whoever has got that ball.
Hey.
Turnover. I'm sorry, Lord. I didn't mean to use that word, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Lord, make their flag be stuck in their pocket. Oh, Lord.
Lord, because it's hard. And God bless Kyle Fuller, because he said, hey, man, I'm going to continue to play football. In his presser earlier this past week, he said, hey, I'm going to go out there and continue to play football.
Yes.
It's a football move. It's a football play. I take my angles. I do what I have to do, and we get results. I don't want the officials stepping in and taking away any of that, because what they're doing also, not only taking away the play, but they're taking away the momentum of this defense. And that's what they do. They fly around. They get energized. They get that momentum, and they want it to spill over onto the sideline, their sideline, so that the offense can say, hey, you know what? We need to get out there and play. You don't like that?
I mean...
So do you think we're going to win Monday night?
I got my shirt on. I got my Bears shirt on.
She didn't answer. I have my doubts, personally, but nobody asked me.
Well, we're asking you now.
I think they can win as long as they keep... the Rams to 3 scores or less. I mean, I think the Rams will be able to score at least 3 times, and any more than that, they're in trouble.
3 touchdowns?
Yeah, 3 maybe. Could be a combination, even of field goals. That would under 20 would be nice, 20 or under, because I can't see the Bears scoring more than 20 because they haven't very often.
Well, don't you think that this Bear defense is going to take some pride into this football game, and they're going to...
But as good as they are, I mean, the Rams are going to score a couple times, obviously, I would think.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yes. I'm concerned about this game.
Really?
And I was always concerned about this game, even before the season started. But now I'm even more concerned, and everybody, the Bears have this momentum, and it's like, if they let me down, I'm going to have a drink in here next Sunday.
I was personally concerned by week 7 if the game would be played. I mean, that's pretty good, too.
That seems to be kind of,
that's the one thing I'm
mellowing out a bit.
And again, I said we just experienced a great sportsgasm on Saturday because of all the college football that was taking place, and of course there was even golf going on, and there was boxing. I don't even watch. I mean, sometimes I watch MMA and the UFC, but I mean there was all sorts of sports, and then of course the baseball game to take it over the edge. But I am happy, ecstatic, and elated that the fact that we do 7 weeks of football on the National Football League level, but we pretty much have a World Series champion ready to crown in the next couple of days or whatever. I didn't think that we would get to this point. No. I really didn't.
They were smart to do a bubble for the playoffs. That helped.
I mean, they learned from the NBA and, of course, the National Hockey League.
Right.
And, of course, before we're out of here, if you want to join us, our number is 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT.
And the NFL may do the same, by the way.
They need to.
Yeah. Well,
especially going into the second wave.
Right. I mean,
things seem to be pretty good this week.
I mean, as far as the Big Ten's concerned, they have no domes, and their season's going to be in the second half of the...
It's amazing.
The weather gets a little
Did you see the end of the Penn State-Indiana game?
Yeah.
What did you think of the play?
I mean... I don't know. You can touch that cone, the marker,
right?
But what if you're out of bounds?
Well, that's the whole point with that call.
I know. It looks like he's out of bounds to me.
So, well, here's the deal. The
unless his leg be above the chalk. I don't know. It was pretty close.
It was the ball and hitting the marker,
the cone, yeah,
right. But that. The line, the end zone line, it goes to infinity. You know that.
Okay, yeah.
It goes to infinity. So you could be airborne and you cross
Right.
over with the football.
Right. But I'm talking about his knee on the sidelines.
No, but it was the ball. He had gotten the ball.
Okay.
The question
Mm-hmm.
from my understanding was when he placed the ball down, did he place it down out of bounds first before it hit the cone? Or did it hit the cone first before it touched out of bounds?
Okay.
Or was it
Sure.
exactly at the same
that
time?
was the ruling, but I was wondering if his knee or his buttocks were I don't know. It was pretty close. Well,
No, the closeness came where the ball touched the ground.
All right.
That's where the closeness came in at, and that's what the controversy was. Did he get the ball? Because if his butt or his knee or whatever touched the ground before he was able to extend the ball, there's nothing to discuss, and there's nothing to review.
Right.
The fact was he placed the ball right at the cone, but also at the same time it was touching out of bounds. And that was the question. And if you're Penn State, that's got to suck.
Yeah. Well.
That's got to suck. Let's go out to Roosevelt, who's calling from Chicago. Roosevelt, welcome to the Rewind Sports 60. What part of Chicago you calling from, buddy?
Midway Airport area.
Sounds good. I love Midway Airport. Went to school down the street at the great St. Rita High School, Midway Airport. I love it. Southwest Airlines, that's a great way to get out of here.
Yeah, they're going to United. Going to O'Hare. I'm sorry.
Everybody.
What's on your mind, Roosevelt?
Okay, my question is this to anybody. Is it just me, or since we had Greg Olson, we used to have a lot more plays for the
tight end.
Tight end. And now that we have a legitimate tight end, Jimmy Graham, I remember when the Bears used to play against the Saints and the Bears used to play against the Panthers, and they would use them a lot. So I've noticed that since we had Olson, the Bears don't use the
tight end.
The tight end.
Yeah.
So is it just me, or am I just
No, I think it's a great call. Thank you so much, Roosevelt. Keep listening to the Rewind Sports 60. We appreciate you calling. But from my opinion, I think the Bears don't utilize the tight end effectively in the past few years the way you would other teams have used them. We see what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing with Kelsey. We see what the San Francisco 49ers have done. We've seen the Carolina Panthers over the years. Once Greg Olson left the Bears and he teamed up with Cam Newton. Incidentally, Cam Newton was benched in the New England Patriots game.
Yeah.
So some Bear fans will say, see, that's why we didn't need him. But I agree with you, Roosevelt. I don't think the Bears utilize their tight ends effectively. And I got to disagree with you as far as Jimmy Graham is concerned. He was a sensation during his peak years. When he was New Orleans, he was a sensational tight end, but I think he's not as effective as he once was.
I mean, they gave him a good contract. They should better use him, and if they can't, then let's see Cole Kmet.
Well, here's the deal: as far as utilizing Jimmy Graham, he's pretty effective in the red zone. And that's a problem that the Bears have had over the past few years, scoring points in the red zone, not just getting 3 points, but getting touchdowns. Jimmy Graham has proven that he's more effective in the red zone, and he's an asset as far as Nick Foles is concerned. Cole Kmet, I agree. The kid, you need to get him out on the football field, in my opinion. If you get Mooney out on the football field, and he's projected to be a superstar on this next level, I think with not the pedigree, but with the resume of Cole Kmet from St. Viator to Notre Dame to the Chicago Bears, I think you utilize that kid. I think and that's the whole thing as far as Matt Nagy's offense is concerned, is modeled after the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid, who uses his tight ends effectively, hence Patrick Mahomes loves them. The Bears need to do the same thing as far as Cole Kmet combination Jimmy Graham. What do you think?
That's what we talked about when we had Cole Kmet on the show when he got drafted, was how important that tight end play is, specifically looking at how the Kansas City Chiefs won and then the 49ers, as you talked about. So, I mean, we've all said it multiple times. That has got to be something that is seriously looked at and perfected. From Nagy's standpoint, we talk about it all the time, the tight end play. And what are they going to do with Cole Kmet? Take the wheels off, let him ride. He's gonna be the key, one of the keys to our success. And we talked to him about that when he was on the show, when he first got drafted.
Marvelous.
I agree.
You on vacation over there?
I agree totally. I just want to make sure before we forget. I don't want anybody to miss our show next week. You know, if you don't change your clocks, you're going to turn us on, and it's going to be on 5 o'clock, and your clock's going to say 6. So don't goof up, and don't eat too much candy.
Don't goof off.
Don't goof up while you're not eating candy and not trick or treating. In my town, they got signs we're going to put up that say with a mask over the pumpkin.
Oh my gosh.
We're not participating. I wanted to put that in. So Cole, come on. I agree. He should be used more often. In answer to your question,
there you go.
I was dreaming of a white Christmas in 2 months.
Oh my gosh! You haven't even had Halloween. You're already at Christmas.
And they snowed tonight.
Yeah, you're absolutely.
It was in Denver.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it was. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, make sure I got on my voting mask. Get out there and vote. I already voted. The marvelous ones, I voted.
Vote like your life depends on it.
Lauren, hey, girl.
Because it does.
Yeah, it does. Hey,
the lines weren't that long. You know, if you get there before the closing time, they must take you. By the way, that was my strategy. No,
so
however long it
lines long?
takes. Yeah.
Was it a long line at all, or it was
wasn't
not?
too bad.
Yeah.
How long?
It took me about a half hour, then
that's
maybe
not bad.
40 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
But that's the key. If you get there before they close, they have to take you.
Good, and they should.
And that's when the lines are the shortest. I
That's
think.
good.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, and you know what?
So now they won't be, now that I said
Thanks for that tip.
Hey, listen, everybody, you have your choice. If you're a Republican, make your choice. You're a Democrat, make your choice. If you're neutral, make a choice. But just choose the right guy. That's all I want you to do.
My mother would whoop me if I was lying once a day, once a week.
Yeah, don't choose the lying guy. Just choose the right guy. That's all you have to do.
Please.
So don't be out there lying. Don't do it. Listen, the great Barack Obama. The great Barack Obama.
Barry.
He's. I love the guy. I mean, I just miss listening to him. He's unbelievable.
Yep.
And it's finally, I mean, every time this guy speaks, it's like, remember when they, All in the Family? Those were the days, and you knew where you were. Yeah.
Days like Herbert Hoover again is in there too.
Well, yeah, but hey, listen. Get out there and vote. Seriously. It's important. And Barack said when he ran for president, I think the second time, 61% of people who were registered to vote came out. Yeah. He said, wouldn't it be wonderful if we got 70% of the people to get out there and vote, 75% of the people to get out there to vote.
80.
Get out there and vote because it needs to be, because we've already have over 50 million people who've mailed in, including yours truly. Yeah. Get out there and vote, ladies and gentlemen.
You mailed it in, you trusted the mail.
You know when the highest
I actually, and Devin Tingle said he's voted as well. I actually went to the library, the Wheeling Library in the great Wheeling, Illinois. I dumped off my ballot there. My daughters they voted down in Champaign.
Are you sure it's a real mailbox? Because you know they was putting some phony mailbox.
I took pictures and everything.
In California, they set fire to one.
Thanks to the beautiful, lovely, talented, outstanding Lauren Cox. Hope your mom is doing well.
Thank
and
you.
Of course, the marvelous one, Dan Marver, the outstanding producer, Devin Tingle. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another edition of the Rewind Sports 60 on CPT 820 AM. Check us out on Wednesday, Comcast, Channel 17, Channel 19, Channel 35 on the RewindSports60.com. Take care, everybody.
Welcome, everyone, once again to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update. It's a weekly podcast. It's yours truly, Jerry Riles, and, of course, the Honorable Dr. Chad Pedromas. Doc, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jerry. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I was enjoying the warm temperatures that we had here in the Chicagoland area the past couple of days. But, of course, it is Chicago. It is the fall. The temperatures have dropped. The rain is rolled in, and we have to get prepared for the cold temperatures. And unfortunately, the hawk, as they say here in the great city of Chicago, the winter. But for the most part, physically, I'm feeling fantastic. Mentally, I'm still, I'm who I am. But of course, it's always a pleasure and an uplift to get an opportunity to talk with you weekly on the Sports Medicine Update.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Actually, I have a satellite office in Naples, Florida, and I'm down there now. So we come down for the weekend and see some people. And gosh, it's just, I shouldn't say this, but it's nice and sunny, just good for the soul.
Well, soak up some of that good sun and some of that great heat for me as well.
I'll bring some back.
Well, you know, Doc, let's dive right into it because we got a lot to digest and unfold here. You know, the National Football League, the NFL, they're heading it already into the 7th week of this 2020 season during this COVID era, this pandemic, and we've seen some cases around the league, particularly even the Chicago Bears had a stint where one of their practice players tested positive for the virus. But we've seen some other teams, the Tennessee Titans, just to name a few, that have experienced some sort of the virus, and they're bouncing back in the protocol as far as the owners are concerned and as far as the commissioner are concerned, are trying to stay on top of this. But for me, it's just surprising that we have reached week 7 in the National Football League without any really severe or major cases. Your thoughts before we move on?
My thoughts are that, as I've been saying pretty much every time we discuss this, that it doesn't surprise me at all. I think things are fine. I think on all fronts, they're better than generally advertised. Therapeutics are doing great guns. You know, President Trump bounced back immediately. He had remdesivir. He had the antibodies. And what he had is not everybody can get. It's available, remdesivir. It's FDA approved. The antibodies hopefully will be soon. Many people feel the virus is attenuating, just getting weaker on its own. Death and hospitalization rates are down. So people report cases, but they shouldn't talk about cases. They should talk about deaths and hospitalizations, which are definitely down. And then finally, I was actually on the radio just yesterday, and the subject of the vaccine came up. And, you know, one thing that I didn't realize that people didn't quite really know is that, so there are thoughts, well, is the vaccine going to be good? Well, if the vaccine is safe, and I'm sure it's going to be safe, and there may be more than one, it's definitely going to be useful for this reason. People have said, well, it may not be 100% effective. It's not going to be 100% effective, but it doesn't have to be 100% effective to be useful. For example, flu vaccine. Flu vaccine in 2018 was only about 36% effective. Next year in the 40s. So you don't have to eradicate the virus. You don't have to have everybody be immune. But what happens is if you get, you know, if there's 4 people in a room and 2 of them had it and they can't get it, that decreases the spread by 50%. And there's a thing called the RT or the R0, which is how quickly it spreads. All you need to do is exert significant downward pressure on the number of people that have it, and you drastically slow the virus. Because everybody has to get it. They have to get the vaccine or they have to get the virus. Not everybody, but enough people to bring herd immunity. So I think the vaccine, I've heard naysayers out there and people don't trust it because President Trump's may endorse it. But the thing is, it's not about President Trump. It's about the scientists. This isn't coming from him. And people should look at it. But, you know, the FDA and the CDC, they're not going to let anything out there. In fact, they have a threshold of 50%. I almost think maybe that's too high. But my point is, the flu vaccine gets a minority of people, and nobody says don't do the flu vaccine. So I think the vaccine is imminent. The high-risk people should all get it. You know, it's the equation for them safety-wise is through the roof toward the positive. So anyway, so I think things are looking good.
Well, hopefully things will be getting better, but I do know the National Basketball Association, the NBA, and Adam Silver, they're questioning the upcoming 2021 season as far as the number of games that they may be able to get in based on the numbers regarding the virus. Now, it's projected that the league is going to tip off December 21st of this year, December 25th of this year. That, of course, Christmas Day, but they're talking about playing a 70 or 72 game schedule based on, and I know you talked about the cases are not as important as the actual hospitalization and the aftermath as far as what this virus, tracking it is concerned. But the NBA are saying, based on the numbers, we've got to prepare ourselves, but we also have to protect our players. And right now, and it just came out, that they're looking to start the season December 25th on Christmas, but also, again, condensing the schedule right now to at least 70 to 72 games. And that can change as we move toward the end of this 2020 season. So the pro teams are looking for, and I know the National Hockey League are also taking precautions on when they're going to start their season as well, because typically under normal circumstances, Doctor, we're in the preseason as far as the NBA is concerned and the National Hockey League is concerned, and really we're at the start of the regular season because we're pretty much done through the month of October, which is really when these particular leagues start to get underway for their season. So we're definitely keeping watch on that and keeping tabs, and hopefully, as you stated, that there will be some type of control and we will be able to stabilize the numbers as far as this virus is concerned. But the leagues right now are siding on the side of caution, trying to protect their players. And kudos to the National Basketball Association for getting the players down in the bubble and getting through this. And congratulations to LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers on their NBA title. And, the World Series is underway. So there's a lot going on in the world of sports, Doc. But I hopefully, as you stated, the scientists are on top of this, people are being responsible, and we can get better control of this. And hopefully a vaccine is just around the corner sooner rather than later. But I did want to get into as far as what a lot of our viewers and a lot of our listeners are tuning in to the weekly podcast about, and that, of course, sports injuries. And you're here to help people better maneuver themselves as far as athletics are concerned, whether they're playing on the professional ranks, the collegiate ranks, high school ranks, or just the amateur athlete who's out there grinding on the weekends. In the National Football League, we know that the past week or so, a couple weeks ago, the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, suffered a severe ankle injury, and many of the outlets did not want to show the video, the footage, and no pun intended, because the ankle of Dak Prescott, when he was tackled, he held his leg up, and his ankle was literally completely turned around facing him, Doctor, and it looked excruciating, and it was just a devastating injury. But did you have an opportunity to see the play, and can you educate us on the type of injury that Dak Prescott suffered when he twisted his ankle backwards?
Sure. So it's an ankle dislocation, and I've seen them on the sidelines, and you can actually just kind of, the ankle part of it you can pop back into place. The thing and so when the joint dislocates, ligaments tear, and in the ankle it's not the same significance as the knee. It's a terrible injury, but the ankle is a much less complicated joint. The thing that he also had is what's called a compound fracture. Actually, compound's kind of older terminology. The newer terminology is open, but it means that, so the bone broke above it, and I don't know the details, probably the tibia, maybe the fibula, maybe both. There's a big bone and a little bone in the leg. And then compound or open means that not only did the bone break, but there's bone sticking out through the skin. So this is a compound fracture dislocation. Now, actually, energy is dissipated into a joint or a leg, and if you dissipate some energy into the ligaments where the ankle dislocates, you generally dissipate a little less into the bone. So all else equal, the bone injury might not be quite as bad. But it brings to mind, I think the worst example of this that I've ever seen was Joe Theismann, who in 1984 or 85 suffered a compound tibia and fibular fracture. So he didn't dislocate his ankle. He broke the bone in the leg as Dak Prescott did, both bones. And the other person, of course, was Alex Smith, who did the same thing. Broke both bones in the leg with bones sticking out through the skin. So the worst part about these injuries is that broken tibias and fibulas and ankle dislocations generally heal, as we say, uneventfully. They're painful, they require aggressive surgical treatment, but the hooker is the open part of it, because open fractures or compound fractures have a greater propensity to infection. And Dak Prescott already had one stage of his surgery. I'm not sure exactly what they did. Sometimes they'll put a plate on right away. Sometimes they'll delay, but definitely clean out the wound. The unfortunate thing, Alex Smith got an infection in his leg. And worse than an infection, he had an infection in the leg, which is bad. I mean, Tom Brady, for example, when he tore his ACL, unfortunately, had an ACL reconstruction complicated by an infection, which is a pretty rare event. It's a 1 in 100 event after an ACL. And then he had to have repeat surgery, which fortunately did okay. So that infection was treated, was fine. But in Alex Smith's case, he not only got an infection in the bone, and bone infections can be quite severe. He got what's called sepsis, which means the infection got into his blood. And that's why there was all the talk that people read about. He was in danger of losing his leg, had, I think, 17 surgeries, and even in danger of losing his life because the bacteria get into your blood. It can be deadly. So, and he's back now, too. Joe Theismann, interestingly, came back the following year, and as I recall, and don't hold me to this, but as I recall, he failed his physical the following year, and it would have been about a 2-year fix. The tibia is the slowest healing bone in the body because it's a big bone, and it doesn't have a lot of muscle around it, and you get the muscles around it provide healing tissue. So he failed his physical, as I recall, his first year back, and I think, perhaps would have been able to come back at a second year, but at that point, as I recall, he retired. Alex Smith was a 2-year fix. So the question is, will Dak Prescott be a 2-year fix? And I guess, the timing is so strange now. So I'm just thinking to myself, if he went down in October, so, next year if things are back on track, even if it's a 1-year fix, if they're starting again in July. So I don't know. The chances, the ankle dislocation, and that's the thing that looked so gruesome to people, because the deformity in Joe Theismann's case was from the bone being broken, Alex Smith's too. The main gruesome looking deformity in Dak Prescott's case was the ankle being dislocated. That should heal. He will probably lose a few tenths of a second off his 40 time, so I don't want to minimize it, but generally those heal pretty well. So if the bone heals okay and isn't complicated by an infection, and open fractures have a greater propensity for something called a delayed union or a non-union, which means that it doesn't heal in the usual time frame, and you have to go back and put bone grafts and do other stuff. So he will probably heal, and I don't know how old he is. I think he's under 30, isn't he? So he's motivated. I think he'll heal. I think, with the complications, Joe Theismann, when he went down, I know that people said he probably won't come back, and of course Alex Smith after what happened, although he is back. So I think he will probably get healed enough to play if his course isn't complicated by infection or something else like that. And even if it is, the techniques are so good that you would expect that he get back. Now, in a reasonable world, you'd say, well, gee whiz, you're going to get that injury. You're going to go back and play NFL football? And the prudent thing would be say, man, I don't think so. But these guys, being who they are, what they are, they're super competitive, super conditioned, I think he's going to want to play. If I had to put money on it, I would say he will get back and play. The more, uncertain thing is how long will it take? And I would think that it's likely that it'll be season after next that he comes back. If everything goes smoothly and as well as it can, he's got a plate on or a rod. I'm not sure what they did, probably a plate. He'll probably be in a situation where the ankle's coming around some and the bone looks pretty good. But the issue always is if you come back too soon. Troy Aikman, as I recall, had a clavicle fracture and came back and I think re-broke it,
Right.
And nobody did anything wrong. It's hard to say. So, will he be back? I mean, let's say the NFL's on schedule. Will he be back next July to training camp after this? I don't think so. Will he be back by midseason? Maybe. But I sort of think I think it's likely that he'll come back. I think it's likelier and probably be good for him to take, the extra year and come back 2 years from now in good shape.
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of prognostications out there, and doctors saying this, that, and the other, and it's very suspect because you, like you said, you really don't have a clear-cut answer on the process and the turn. But they're looking for, as you mentioned, the possibility of Dak Prescott being able to recover in a year's time and possibly getting back out there on the gridiron. Dr. Chad Prodromus, the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast, Jerry Riles. I got to ask you regarding the layperson, the average athlete, the amateur athlete who's out there, maybe they're doing an Ironman competition, or maybe they're training for, a marathon, or maybe they're doing some weightlifting, clean and jerk, or whatever the case may be. Or maybe they're out there just playing 16-inch softball here in the Chicagoland area, 12-inch around the country, or, maybe some flag football of the case, and they sustain a devastating injury, maybe not to the point as severe as Dak Prescott because he's playing a professional sport, a very violent sport on a professional level. But what do you say to those individuals who may, suffer a severe dislocated ankle or break a leg where the bone is penetrating through the skin? We talk about Alex Smith and how important and vital it was for him to get treatment as quickly as possible because of the infection and the potentially losing his leg and God forbid, thank God, his life. But if there's an athlete out there maybe working out and sustain some sort of injury, what is your recommendation of getting it taken care of in an immediate fashion?
Yeah, well, the worst injuries tend to be in football, and the answer there, and in the early years of my career, I was team physician for lots and lots of high schools, colleges, some professional work, and the answer. Standards have changed, but there are some places that would require paramedics and an ambulance to be on the scene. But one way or another, in a case like that, people are getting an ambulance right away. If you're the team physician on the field, you go out, you try to stanch any bleeding that might occur, and you just get them. You get them to the hospital. The paramedics are so good, and the emergency rooms are so good that you just have to make sure that that's accessible. Actually, as gruesome as these injuries are, because you see obvious deformity of the leg, it's bending in ways that it shouldn't bend, the immediate prospects of a problem are probably less. I was taking care of a college I used to take care of, this goes back 20 years, and there was an athlete who fractured his femur. And so the deformity was not as obvious, but he ruptured the blood vessel and lost a dangerous amount of blood. He recovered okay, but there was a blood loss issue. Knees can dislocate. The Bears tight end who had a real good couple of years. Help me out on this now. Zach?
Not Thornton?
No.
Keith Jennings? Not Emory Moorhead?
No, 5 years ago, just before the guys they've got now. I think I can't believe I can't remember his name, but he was.
He was not Greg Olson.
No, I wanted to say Zach Martin, but that's the guard on the Cowboys. So I'm drawing a blank here.
Oh, Trey Burton. Trey Burton.
No, before him. Horrible injury. Terrific. It took him a while to get on the field. Had a terrific year. Terrific pass receiver. A gruesome injury. Ligaments, but the point I'm getting at is
it wasn't Trey Burton.
Before Trey Burton. The years just before that, he was the tight end immediately before the guys that they have now, and I think his first name was Zach, unless I'm losing it here. But I can't. I'm blanking on his last name. This is this maddening.
But he sustained a knee injury. I think it was in the end zone, and he came down, and his leg buckled or so. And
it looked gruesome too. You could see it, and it bent sideways. I don't remember exactly, but the point I'm getting at is that you can, if you do that, if you tear enough ligaments around the knee, you can rupture arteries and you can damage nerves. I believe he had nerve damage from what I read. I'm not sure about the circulation. But the thing is, those injuries can result in amputations if they're not recognized. So they don't always look quite as gruesome. His did, but I've seen ones that didn't. So the further up the injury is, the bigger the artery and the worse the problem. So femur fractures, knee dislocations. So not a kneecap dislocation, but a knee dislocation where you tear 2 or 3 ligaments are immediately much more dangerous for loss of the limb, because if you have the artery at the knee is kind of tethered, and if the knee dislocates, it can be ruptured. And if you rupture the artery and you don't have circulation, it doesn't take very long for that lower leg to just kind of die. So the moral of the story is these are pretty catastrophic injuries, though. So they're not the kind of thing anybody's going to try to walk off anyway. But the moral of the story is, if you're years ago, I used to take care of some semi-pro teams. Actually, in fact, they were the predecessors to the arena football league that started in Chicago. And these guys, good athletes, and they'd be out in these hard fields and just getting injured, and they wouldn't have medical care. But if you're playing football, really any sport, but especially football, you just have to make sure that you've got rapid access to paramedics or an ambulance. So you get that taken care of right away, get to the emergency room, and in general, things are okay.
Hey, Doc, real quick, when you talk about long-term effects, and we're speaking again on the professional level, but there are a lot of people that sustain these sorts of injuries. The recovery process with technology is incredible. I can remember back in the early 2000s in the national championship where the Ohio State Buckeyes beat the Miami Hurricanes in triple overtime, I believe. But Willis McGahee, to start running back for the Hurricanes, got his knee busted up. And at the time when it happened, I looked around and told people it was sad and disappointing because, unfortunately, this young man who is exceptionally talented, his career on the next level has ended. But lo and behold, with technology, he has been able to, he recovered from the knee injury. The surgery was a success, and he went on to play a number of seasons in the National Football League as a running back. Talk about technology and the advancement from even the early 2000s to where we are today.
I will, but before I do, I have to tell you, the tight end, Zach Miller.
Zach Miller, exactly.
Sorry. Zach Miller. He was the guy, and it ended his career, so I don't know if I think he probably formally retired by now. But anyway, so yeah, the differences in technology are, many of the techniques for trauma are similar to what they were. So Alex Smith had something called an Alizaroff, an external fixator, where they stick all these pins in the leg. It was actually developed in Siberia, but this has been out there now for 25 years. But there are more tools than they used to be. There are nuances. We have terrific implants, plates, nails. We're smart about washing wounds out. We've got good antibiotics. The truth is that the big sea change in technology in this whole field occurred actually about when I was starting in practice, which was 1985. And so arthroscopic, minimally invasive surgery, ACLs were just kind of getting going then with modern techniques. So in a nuanced way, we're better than we were. But I've been doing the same ACL procedure for, 1993. How long is that? 25 years. And you get great results with it. Not a whole lot has changed. The trauma surgeons are really good. But during that period of time, there were tremendous advances in implants and knowledge. And I'm trying to think of an area now that you bring it up, an area where we're dramatically better sports medicine-wise now than we were. And not to say that we're not better, because we are, but Gail Sayers, the late Gail Sayers. So that was a time when things were really different. He hurt himself in 68, something like that, and the athletes back then. So there was a sea change in the 80s for knee injuries, which, was huge. Arthroscopic shoulder surgery has allowed us to do things that we couldn't do. Although it's interesting, as I mentioned to you, we were talking about Jalen Johnson, the Bears cornerback, who, by the way, is doing great with his shoulder. So is Anthony Miller. We were talking about how, these guys both had multiple operations, and I was hoping, after these two, they'd be done. And it looks like they're doing well. But, shoulder dislocations, it's kind of an interesting topic. Recurrences were a bit of a problem then, and they still are. So, I think that there was a sea change with the advent of arthroscopic surgery and some of the techniques we have then. But I think that in this millennium, people heard at the beginning of it, did well, like they do now.
Hey, Doc, real quick, we love your insight always and the knowledge that you bring regarding sports medicine. Before we say goodbye here, long-term effects. Most people, and I'm sure these athletes that sustain these severe injuries during their playing careers, we look down the road and we've heard many stories of athletes suffering, from stiff joints and arthritis and difficulties and just living a regular lifestyle, moving and, bending. Is there any improvement in that area with athletes who have sustained these types of injuries and anyone who, may have broken a limb or whatever? Is there any, light shed on, your 50s and 60s and missing out or avoiding arthritis and stiff joints and all of those things as ailments that come with getting older?
I think that it depends on a couple of things. People are definitely at increased risk of arthritis. This has been studied in sports in general, that it's good for your health. But if you're a competitive football player, if you're a competitive female soccer player, gymnast, you just kind of get banged up. A sea change that's occurring here, and it's a central part of what I do. I'm not the only one doing it, but is the area of what we call biologics. So I do a lot of work with platelet-rich plasma, as you know. I do a lot of work with stem cell treatments, and that's a controversial area. So people get arthritis, and often the paradigm is to take pills that suppress pain, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, get injected with cortisone, which I think is not a good way to go. If you do that, the thought is that you're eventually going to need a joint replacement, so you suppress pain until you do. What's happening right now, which is a sea change in the field, is that we are getting very good results with again, platelet-rich plasma. It's kind of popularized. Kobe Bryant, late Kobe Bryant had that done, went to Germany, but now it's readily available. We do a lot of it. We do work with what's called mesenchymal stem cells, some safe stem cell work. I don't want to overplay what it does, but I have lots of people who come into us with second opinions for joint replacements, and their joints just aren't that bad. And we get them off of all drugs and use these things. And again, I'm not the only one doing this. Hyaluronic acid's another thing. It's a pharmaceutical that helps. And we keep people going for a long time. I think that the older paradigm, and I encourage people get better when they're not taking drugs and when they're not using cortisone. So I think the whole joint preservation issue is definitely come to the fore in a way that it didn't before. So that I think is the biggest change that's going on.
Well, Doctor, thank you so very much. Very informative, very knowledgeable as always. Thank you so very much. If anyone want to hear your beautiful voice, or they want to find out just some more information on how they can handle any injuries they may sustain, God forbid, or prevent any injuries they want to avoid, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get in contact with you?
Our office phone is 847-699-6810. There's an email, ortho@ismoc.net, where you can find out a lot more information and email us questions.
And of course, you get a live voice on the other end, correct, Doc?
Yeah, that's right. No phone banks for us. I'm old school. You get a live, knowledgeable person that'll help you.
Awesome, Dr. Chad Padroma. It's always a pleasure. Enjoy your stay in Naples, and we look forward to talking with you next week on the Sports Medicine Update, the weekly podcast. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Take care.
reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.